Yeah, so my main project is in biochemistry, and that's kind of how I got involved in the biochemistry double major world. As a freshman, I joined the biochemistry lab with Dr. Ryan Jackson, and he's an assistant professor of biochemistry. And his lab is centered around bacterial immune systems. So just how humans have like white blood cells and how they fight off different pathogens, bacteria have that same ability. So we're studying how bacteria adapt to their environments and how they respond to stuff like phage infections or viruses, which I guess is a good time to talk about that with COVID going on. But and mainly CRISPR. So that's kind of a buzzword in news right now, CRISPR. It has a lot of potential to be a really powerful genetic tool, but its origins are in bacterial immune systems. So that's why we're studying it. We're studying novel immune systems in bacteria. And specifically my project is one of those proteins in a certain system. So we're just characterizing it, figuring out what the protein does, what its role is in the immune system. And hopefully we find some breakthroughs. So. Yeah, so my response might be kind of cliche, but I think just learning all the different methods and what there is to know about my specific field is just really special. You know, when I first heard CRISPR in the news as a high schooler, I was fascinated by it and the potential it has to, edit DNA is kind of what we think of CRISPR as. And I had no idea that there was this whole world of, bacterial immunity and the systems that they use to protect themselves. And it's been really, really cool to be able to learn those, different aspects through biochemistry. And like I said, in research, it inspired me to go pursue another degree. And I think, that in itself, I'm very fortunate for because, I didn't think I would be pursuing 2 degrees at once, and here we are. So research is, I'm very fortunate to have the opportunities that I have at this school. I do, yeah. Our lab is very collaborative. So when I first joined the lab, I was kind of joint on my project with another undergrad, and then as time progressed, I kind of the project kind of evolved into where it was kind of my own, and now I'm at the point where I can't really do everything on my own because what we're trying to do with my project is beyond my expertise. So we brought in a grad student to help me, and we do have another undergrad helping me as well. So there's just a lot of people involved, which actually makes it really great because I think when you're working on your project by yourself, it's easy to overlook certain aspects of your project, and having people to bounce ideas off of and get different opinions, that's really important, I think, in research because you can't always think of everything. So it's definitely very hard. I think over the last 3 years or so, I think the biggest thing was keeping a really good calendar and syncing it across everything. So if I put something in my laptop, I can see it on my phone because sometimes I'll forget about events, and that's the main thing is I just need to make sure that I'm at everything that I've planned. And having those reminders pretty frequently is a really good way for me to make sure I'm staying on top of what I want to accomplish. So that's a big part of how I kind of balance everything at once. So. Yeah, so I'm hoping to attend medical school. So I'm a pre-med student right now, and I'll be taking the MCAT next summer. And depending on how that goes, I'll be applying pretty shortly after. So fingers crossed for hopefully getting into a good school, but we'll see what happens. It's really competitive, and I try to be realistic. So, it's really easy. I think a lot of people are intimidated to get into research, and rightfully so. It's intimidating, especially as a freshman when you're still making those connections. But it really all it takes is just an email or a phone call, or just go knock on the door and express your interest for the research, and they'll be excited to have you on board. So.